Namaste. Good morning. Mhm. So I'm sitting here this morning on the meditation cushion. Been sitting here for a while and feeling into the difference of what life is like these days compared to what life was like years ago, and even months ago, as the personal ego, the body-mind self is less believed as being the only self. The difference in experience is that in a sense of stillness, in a sense of peace, in a sense of presence, everything is so much more rich. It's so much more alive. So what I'm recognizing is that my awareness, my attention, our attention as we awaken into the true nature of being and not the story we've created of ourselves, as we abide in our pure essence, consciousness, presence. All of the awareness and attention that was so dissipated before, that was so fragmented, that was so occupied, the ego body just hijacks our attention to defend itself, the story of self, the false self, the self that we create in our own minds. The self that we've created in our own minds is that we've constructed, it's got a lot of holes in it. It's got a lot of lack in it. A lack of worth to some degree, a lack of sense of love, a lack of sense of safety, a lack of sense of trust in varying degrees. And most of our attention is typically set toward filling those holes, into seeking and getting experiences and relationships so that we can start to patch ourselves, patch up our very poorly put together construct of self so that we can feel whole again. When that false image of self, the I that we've created, truly is let go and we abide in our natural wholeness, all of our awareness, it just gathers in. That's the definition of meditation, is an opportunity to gather in our awareness and be present with actually what is, rather than the story of self that we're trying to maintain and project and defend and create constantly. So what often comes up for people is, and it certainly came up for me as well, as this ego self dissolves, the question arises first, well then who would I be? And a real sense that it would be boring, because we're just addicted to the drama. We're addicted to creating, to thinking that life is about getting our needs met, getting the ego's needs met, and projecting ourselves and defending ourselves and making sure that we're right in the world and the world is right around us, that we're creating the world that suits and feeds our ego. And the feeling is, the ego's feeling is, if it didn't exist, if it was not predominant, that life would be quite boring. There'd be nothing happening. But what actually happens is all that awareness that was so fragmented out into the world becomes incredibly focused in the present moment. And in that focus, without being distracted by our illusion of self, when that's gone, when all of our attention is just so present in the moment, everything becomes more rich. The food tastes more beautiful. We're so much more present to the beauty and the perfection of the world around us. Our relationships become so much more intimate and connected and loving, because we're just present in it rather than being present in the relationship, partially being loving, and a great portion of our awareness thinking about and considering how we're being perceived, and if we're safe, and if we're being maligned in any way, and if the things that people are saying are hurtful to our image of the self. When all of that is gone, we can just be completely present in our love. Like, imagine if you're in any sort of an artist, or any way that we express ourselves, right? If we could, like a singer, somebody who's singing their song, and if they're not completely present in their wholeness and trusting and abiding in their natural grace, if they're not, then a portion of their awareness is in the song and in the present, but a large portion of their awareness is also in how am I being perceived. I remember dancing an ecstatic dance in Bali for months and months when I was there many years ago. And every Friday night and Sunday morning they had an ecstatic dance. And the freedom was being able to dance what was being felt without any worry about what I was looking like or how it was being perceived. And it took a while for that awareness to really drop into presence and not be so dissipated with how am I being perceived. And when that happened, the entire experience became so much more alive. So I think ultimately what I'm saying is that the amount of aliveness is always the same. The amount of awareness is always the same. It's just whether or not that is being dissipated and fragmented by the ego body trying to defend itself and get what it needs to fill its sense of lack in the various ways that the ego always feels a sense of lack. It's the same amount of aliveness is present, and people think, well, it'd be boring if I wasn't out there, being in the drama world and it was all just real present in the moment. That would be boring. Same amount of aliveness. It's just that aliveness gets heightened and accentuated into the present moment. So the present moment just becomes incredibly rich no matter what we're doing in the present moment. So life doesn't get less alive when we stop being the personal ego body and it's all of its ways of dramatizing life. Life doesn't get less alive. That same amount of aliveness is less dissipated, more focused in the present moment, and everything just becomes all that much more rich and dynamic and luscious. I hope that makes sense. It does from this perspective. But again, I was just feeling into what's the difference in life these days, and in not having an ego body that needs to be fed all the time. All that aliveness and presence can come right into the present moment. And in that, it engages with life in a whole new, rich and dynamic and luscious way. But I found all my relationships are more loving now because I have more love available, because it's not dissipated in trying to get love. It just already knows love and is available in that. Whew. Hi. Good morning. I'm hardly able to see without my glasses here. If I see Dan, good morning, Dan. Who else is that? Maria. Hi, Maria. This is just, life just gets more and more luscious the more we gather in our awareness and let our true nature of being have full access to all of our love and all of our aliveness, rather than having the ego body hijack and capitalize most of our awareness to feed its own sense of lack. So presence, sitting, right? Sitting in our meditation, sitting in our presence, sitting in our stillness. And primarily what's happening is the meditations of inquiry that look to, who am I really? I'm not this image I've created in my mind. There is no, the typical I and me that we reference doesn't exist. We can't find it. Point to it. Find the person. Find the I. I am confused. I am upset. Confused is there. Upset may be there, but it's just a state of mind. Who's the I? That gets into a whole nother conversation. But that's all the inquiry is, who are you really when you're not the constructed I? And it turns out you're just pure consciousness. We all are. There is only one pure, loving consciousness. And as that, we can stop all the shenanigans of placing all of our attention on getting the false I fed. And when we're not dissipating our love and our energy and our aliveness and getting the false I fed, it can be present here in the moment, and every present moment becomes incredibly deep and rich and alive and felt. And we're not just glossing over it and rushing through our lives, we're being present with everything. Because there's no longer a false I that is hijacking all of our attention and awareness. Blessings. Namaste. Much love.